Hey everybody, how's it going today? Welcome back to the channel. And now, I know a lot of you watch this channel for the Fatboy content. So, we're gonna stick with that trend and we're gonna talk today about the iconic Harley Davidson Fatboy. And we're gonna go through a few things that, for me, actually make a Fatboy a Fatboy. And I wanna hear from you out there too, because these are just obviously my opinions. They're very subjective. Everybody's going to have their own type of interest in this, so I want to hear from you guys. But we're going to talk about, for me, what makes the Fatboy the Fatboy. So the first thing for me about the Fatboy is just the way it looks. This is a 2021, and the Fatboy has always been kind of a stripped down cruiser type bike. There are no bells and whistles on this bike. There is no front fairing on this bike. There are no hard saddlebags on this bike. There's no stereo system on this bike. And that's what I've always found the charm of it is just the fact that it's this stripped down cruiser type motorcycle. Now, obviously, I've added a few things. You can see I've got 16-inch apes on there. I've got the engine guard with the foot pegs. I've got a little swing arm bag here. But honestly, that's most of what I have. There's not a lot. I do have saddlebags for this bike that I can just throw over the back. They're just universal bags, so I can take them on and off easily. And also, I do have a windshield for this bike, just a quick detach windshield that I can put on and off. And generally, I actually don't like the way windshields really look sometimes, especially on a bike with apes like this. But in Saskatchewan here, we are getting into the bug season big time. And when I'm out on the highway, I put that windshield on just for the bugs, and also we have a very windy province here, so it's also a comfort thing as well. And as far as the ape hangers go, those were put on generally just for, well, for one thing, style, another thing for comfort. So just the fact that this Fatboy is a stripped down bike, that does it for me. Now here's a major thing with the Fatboy, and that is these big solid wheels. Now you can probably tell they need a good cleaning, but I still love the way they look. The Harley Fatboy has always had these big wheels. Now the issue is that they haven't always been completely solid. I mean, with the Fatboy Low, you had kind of like bullet holes around the edge of them. And nowadays, they've actually got away from having these completely solid wheels. They now basically, these areas here are kind of cut out and open. I watched a video on, I think it was Matt Laidlaw's channel, with one of the head designers at Harley, and they said it was basically, the reason they cut those out wasn't anything to do with, wind or anything like that, but it was just a matter of styling. And I kind of hope that they go back to the solid wheels. I like them, but again, that's just a personal preference. But that's one of the more iconic things about the Fatboy. Now, another big thing with the Fatboy has always been the fat tires. They have the biggest production tire that Harley makes. The rear tire on these new Fatboys anyway, they are a 240 Michelin Scorcher. They are massive. They seem to be about the same size as I have on my car, and I actually love them. They're not maybe the best for handling, but I love the way they look. So we have the 240 on the back, and we come around the front. We have a 160 on the front, and that's a pretty fat tire too for a front tire. Again, maybe not the best for handling, but I do love the way they look. Now here is a very iconic part of the Fatboy, and that is the badging. And we are going to have a little chat about that, but this is the badging on the 2021. So the badging issue is a little a little off-putting for me. I don't want to be the police that says, oh, they shouldn't have, certain symbols and stuff. But for me, that Fatboy symbol, it's iconic. That is one of the things that really makes the Fatboy for me, is seeing that symbol on the bike. They've had them since the beginning. Now there have been a few models that have come out, or a few years where they've had not that particular badging, but they ended up going back to it. And now they've changed the badging around. Like they've always they've augmented it through the years, changed it, but it's usually, for the most part, been that sort of Air Force type symbol. And the bike was said to be almost a tribute to the troops. So that kind of military Air Force type badging with the round circle with the star and the wings, double wings, that has always been a big part for me of the Fatboy and the styling that I like. I actually don't like the actual badging that sticks out. I kind of liked it more when it was deckled and cleared over and that, where it was smooth on the tank, but hell, what do I know? But anyway, now they've got away from that. They've moved it now. They've got one wing, which I guess that's being pretty picky for me to worry about that. But I've always been a fan of the old Fatboy symbol, and I actually have it tattooed on my leg, so that's how much I actually liked it. But that for me is an iconic part of the Fatboy, and to me it should remain a part. Now, one of the last things for me that sets the Fatboy apart from the others is on the older model Fatboy, the pre-2018 Fatboys. And those were the fenders. The fenders on those Fatboys, front and rear, they were longer, and they were kind of a swept back type design. The ones on this bike here, they're shorter, they're kind of bobbed, and I don't mind them, but I think a lot of people were not a fan of them when they came out. And for me, you could always recognize a Fatboy when you saw that swept fender, and I thought it gave them a lot of style. Unfortunately, they're not doing that now, and even though I don't mind the kind of bobbed fenders, I still wish they kind of kept a little more of that classic feel. So there you have it, folks. Just a few things I wanted to go through just to say, to me, this is a Fatboy. When I see a Fatboy, this is what I see. And I want to hear from you folks out there. I want to hear from you guys. What makes a Fatboy a Fatboy? I know a lot of you have your own. What have you done to the bike to make it, what you feel the bike should be? But anyway, I'll be reading all your comments. Hopefully you leave a lot. And until next time, we will see you later, and stay safe out on the road.